I got an AWS certification, but when I opened the AWS console, I still felt lost. That was confusing, because certifications are supposed to mean progress. When you're learning AWS, certifications feel like safety. They seem like a clear path forward. You feel like once you pass the exam, things should finally click, and you'll understand how everything works together. It's like a finish line that promises clarity. But the reality was different. I knew definitions. I knew concepts. I could answer multiple choice questions about services and best practices. But I did not feel confident actually using AWS. That feeling of competence just wasn't there. When I opened the AWS console, it still felt overwhelming. There were just too many services, too many options, and too many menus. I was staring at this vast dashboard, and the certification didn't remove that feeling of being a complete beginner. It was a strange disconnect between the knowledge I had on paper and the practical ability I lacked. This happens because AWS certifications test knowledge, not comfort. They're designed to check if you recognize services and understand their purpose, not whether you feel confident navigating the console and building solutions from scratch. This is why so many AWS beginners feel stuck even after passing an exam. They've proven they know the material, but they haven't built the muscle memory. It's a very common trap for beginners in cloud computing. Many people learning AWS think they're failing because the certification didn't fix everything. They assume they must have missed something or that they're just not cut out for it. But this feeling is actually a normal part of the process. Here's the thing. A certification is not the same as hands-on practice. It's entirely possible to pass an AWS exam without ever building anything real. You can study flashcards, watch video courses, and do practice tests, but none of that replaces the experience of actually launching an instance, configuring a security group, or troubleshooting a failed deployment. This is where AWS learning starts to feel frustrating for a lot of people. The moment things changed for me was when I stopped expecting certifications to save me. I realized they weren't a magic key that would unlock instant expertise. They were a guide, a map. But I still had to walk the path myself. Shifting that expectation was a huge turning point. What I was missing was repetition. It wasn't about learning more concepts. It was about doing. It was about creating resources, breaking things, and then cleaning them up. It was the simple, sometimes tedious act of repeating tasks over and over again. That is where confidence comes from in AWS. It's built through experience, not just study. Hands-on practice creates clarity. It teaches you how AWS actually behaves, not just how it's described in exam questions. You learn the little quirks, the error messages, and the real-world steps involved in making services work together. This is why learning AWS without practice feels so slow and abstract. You're learning the theory without seeing the application. Now, don't get me wrong, certifications still matter. They provide a structured learning path, which is incredibly valuable when you're facing a platform as massive as AWS. They also help open doors with recruiters and prove you have a foundational level of knowledge. But they do not, and cannot, replace practice. The real problem is not the certifications themselves. It's expecting certifications to do the work that only practice can do. We put too much pressure on that piece of paper to deliver a feeling of competence that can only be earned through hands-on work. So, if you're certified and still feel confused when you look at the AWS console, you are not behind. You are not failing. You are exactly where many successful AWS professionals once were. You are at the stage where knowledge needs to be converted into skill through application. If there's one simple truth to take away, it's this: certifications will not save you if you ignore practice. But practice, over time, will eventually make everything click. The concepts you learned for the exam will suddenly make sense in a much deeper way. Learning AWS is a process. It's a journey, not a destination you arrive at on exam day. Confidence comes later than knowledge, and that is completely normal. Keep building, keep experimenting, and trust the process.